Everyone dreams of change, but most people wait for the perfect moment to begin. They imagine transformation will arrive like thunder, loud and impossible to miss. The truth hides in something much quieter. The secret lives in the first hour of your day, before the world wakes up and makes its demands on your time. This is a story about a young man who discovered what most people never learn. There was a man named Thomas who worked in a mill by the river. Every morning he woke when the factory bell rang across the valley. He rushed to dress, gulped down his breakfast, and ran to work with his shirt still unbuttoned. His days blurred together like water flowing past. He came home tired, ate his supper, and fell into bed only to repeat the same pattern when the bell rang again. Years passed this way. Thomas often wondered why his life felt like a wheel turning in place, never moving forward, only spinning. One winter morning, Thomas met an old craftsman named Peter in the town square. Peter carved beautiful things from wood. His hands moved with certainty, and his eyes held a strange brightness. Thomas had always admired Peter's work, but more than that, he envied the peace that seemed to surround the old man like a warm cloak. "You seem happy," Thomas said. "How do you manage it when life is so hard?" Peter smiled and continued carving. "I wake up before the world does," he said simply. Thomas frowned. "What difference does that make?" "An hour is just an hour. Come to my workshop tomorrow morning," Peter replied. "Arrive before sunrise. See for yourself." The next morning, Thomas forced himself out of bed while darkness still covered the town. The cold bit at his face as he walked through empty streets. Everything felt different in this silent hour. He found Peter already awake, a candle burning on his workbench. "You came," Peter said. "Good. Sit down and watch." For the next hour, Peter worked on a piece of wood, shaping it into a bowl. He did not rush. His movements were deliberate and calm. The workshop was quiet, except for the sound of his tools. Thomas felt something shift inside him as he watched. Time seemed to expand rather than shrink. "This hour belongs to me," Peter explained without looking up. "Nobody asks me for anything. No bells ring, no voices call. I decide what matters. I work on what I love. I think clearly because my mind is fresh. This hour makes me rich, even though I own very little." Thomas thought about his own mornings. Always racing, always late, always behind. "But I need my sleep," he protested. "Go to bed 1 hour earlier," Peter said. "Trade 1 hour of foggy evening for 1 hour of clear morning. The evening hour you lose is usually wasted anyway, spent staring at walls or worrying about tomorrow. The morning hour you gain becomes the foundation of everything else." Thomas decided to try. The first morning was hard. His body fought against the early darkness. But he lit a candle, sat at his small table, and simply thought. He thought about what he wanted from life. He realized he had not asked himself this question in years. The second morning, he wrote down 3 things he wanted to accomplish. The third morning, he began working on the first one. Weeks turned into months. Thomas used his quiet hour to learn carpentry from books Peter lent him. Nobody interrupted. Nobody needed him. His mind was sharp in those early moments, absorbing information like dry ground soaking up rain. 6 months later, Thomas could make simple furniture. A year later, people began asking him to build things for them. 2 years later, he left the mill and opened his own small workshop. But the change went deeper than his work. Thomas noticed he approached each day differently. Because he had already accomplished something before the sun rose, he felt stronger, more capable. Problems that once overwhelmed him now seemed manageable. He had proven to himself each morning that he could create, that he had control, that he was moving forward. One day, a neighbor asked him his secret. "You were running to the mill just like the rest of us," the neighbor said. "What changed?" "I stopped letting the day happen to me," Thomas replied. "I started happening to the day. This is not just a story about waking early. This is about claiming ownership of your life. Most people give their best hours to others. They wake up reactive, responding to bells and demands and expectations. They never touch their own dreams because by the time they have free time, they are exhausted, their minds are scattered, and their will is weak. The first hour after you wake is different from every other hour. Your mind is clear. Your willpower is full. The world has not yet placed its weight on your shoulders. This hour is pure potential. What you do with it shapes everything that follows. Think about what 60 minutes could build. A man who writes for 1 hour each morning will finish a book in a year. A woman who exercises for 1 hour each morning will transform her body in 6 months. A person who learns a new skill for 1 hour each morning will become an expert in 3 years. These changes do not require magic. They require consistency and the wisdom to protect your most powerful hour. Most people waste their mornings scrolling through screens, watching news that makes them anxious, or rushing through routines that leave them breathless. They arrive at their responsibilities already depleted. Then they wonder why they have no energy for their dreams. Your dreams need your first energy, not your leftovers. Your goals deserve your sharpest mind, not the dull blade of evening fatigue. The practice is simple, but it demands courage. You must go to bed earlier, which means saying no to distractions that steal your nights. You must wake when it is still dark, which means fighting the comfort of your warm bed. You must use that hour intentionally, which means knowing what matters to you. If you do this, your life will change in ways you cannot yet imagine. Not because waking early is magic, but because you will finally give your real self the time and space it needs to grow. You will build something brick by brick, day by day, in those quiet hours when the world sleeps and your spirit is awake. The people who change the world do not have more hours than you. They simply use their hours differently. They understand that how you begin determines how you finish. They protect their mornings the way a farmer protects his seeds, knowing that what they plant in those early hours will feed them for months and years to come. Start tomorrow. Set your intention tonight. Go to bed 1 hour earlier. Wake 1 hour before you must. Use that hour for what matters most to you, not what seems urgent to everyone else. Do this for 30 days and watch what happens. Your confidence will grow. Your progress will become visible. Your life will begin to feel like yours again. If this story touched something inside you, help it reach someone else who needs to hear it. Share it with a friend who feels stuck. Leave a comment telling us what you will do with your first quiet hour. Subscribe so you remember to protect this practice as you build your new life. Your support helps us create more stories that light the path forward. Every share plants a seed. Every like says you believe change is possible. Together, we wake up to the life we were meant to live.